The fight for our freedom will take hard work. But like I always say, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it. To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed. But please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before.
Vice President Kamala Harris in her concession speech yesterday in Washington, D.C. Welcome back to Morning Joe. It is Thursday, November 7th. Eugene Robinson is still with us, and joining the conversation we have MSNBC contributor Mike Barnicle, national reporter for the New York Times Jeremy Peters is here, and senior writer for The Dispatch David Drucker joins us. Great group this hour as we start the second hour of Morning Joe, and we want to dive right into the numbers with this election. Donald Trump's victory was astonishing in its scope. He increased his vote share across the U.S., claiming the battleground states of North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and bolstering his support among almost all social groups. Trump increased his vote share in every state, apart from Utah and Washington. He also garnered the support of a remarkable 1 in 3 voters of color, most likely the best performance of any Republican presidential candidate since George W. Bush in his 2004 re-election effort. Trump picked up a small but significant share of younger voters, black voters, and Hispanic voters, many of whom were feeling down about the economy. Among voters under 30, slightly less than half went for Trump, an improvement from his 2020 performance. And this year, Latino men broke in his direction for the first time. Biden won their support by 23 points back in 2020. Trump won them in 2024. Joe, a lot to unpack here.
So much to unpack right here. And again, numbers that Democrats need to be looking at are like the percentage, 32%. Only 32% of Americans identified themselves as Democrats. I can't remember a number that low in my lifetime. It really is a party disconnected from large swaths of working class Americans, middle class Americans. But I want to go back first. Let's go back to Kamala Harris's speech, because we're doing the postmortem right now, and we should do that. We need to figure out exactly what's happening out in the country, why Donald Trump won the way he did, why he picked up in 48 out of 50 states, why he has cobbled together this working class coalition across racial lines and racial barriers we haven't seen a coalition like this in quite some time. I do, though, let's first talk about Kamala Harris's speech. I thought like once again she hit all the marks. I thought it was a strong speech. Obviously you see politicians, candidates that give these speeches in what have to be the most difficult of times, and she gave the speech.
Yes,
she conceded. Unlike Donald Trump 4 years ago, she gave the speech and she conceded. That is what American patriots do. It's what American patriots have been doing for over 200 years now. And God bless Kamala Harris for doing that. God bless the Democrats who supported her for not storming capitals, for not talking about how the election was rigged, for not sending out disinformation. God bless them. That is the example that we have to set as a nation for all of the world. It didn't happen 4 years ago. for the first time since the Civil War. It happened this year. So God bless Kamala Harris and the party. That is so important. Go ahead.
If I could add, you know, she will. We do need to talk about how abortion laws were voted for and against in different states, and the fight for abortion rights, for health care rights, will continue. She made it very clear the fight on many levels would continue. The fight for democracy would continue. The fight for freedom would continue. It was a very strong speech. It wasn't sort of a goodbye. I didn't see that at all. And it reminded me a lot of what she said to me on stage in San Francisco at a Know Your Value event that she was the keynote for, where she talked about being a first. And she was talking about running for president back then. And she predicted exactly what this experience would be. Now, she's already a first in being the first woman of color to serve as vice president of the United States. But then again, running for president again, she talked back then about how ugly it would get, about how painful it would be. And this is part of it. Losing is painful, especially when it seems like our lives are on the line. It is painful. And she spoke of that to me back in 2018 so authentically, in terms of understanding what the consequences and what the realities are of being a first, of being a groundbreaker. It hurts. Right. And she's not going anywhere, Joe.
Well, and again, it's so important that you have politicians that pour their heart and their soul into the campaign, be they Republicans or Democrats, and lose that campaign. And it's got to be so difficult for her. Mike Barnicle, when she talked about the fight going on, it reminded me of Ted Kennedy's famous momentous speech in 1980 that we Red Sox fans have painted on our hearts, printed on our hearts every fall. And of course, it's where Kennedy said for me a few hours ago, this campaign came to an end. For all of those who care, have been our concern. The work goes on. The cause endures.
The dream will never die.
The hope still lives. And the dream will never die. For people at home right now thinking that the end of history was 2 nights ago, it's not, because the battle goes on, be you a Republican, an independent, or a Democrat. And that's what democracy has been for 240 years. And that's the note that Kamala Harris sounded, that the fight goes on and the hope still lives and the dream shall never die.
You know, Joe, in an odd way, Kamala Harris yesterday stood up and she was a symbol of democracy in what she said and how she said it. She conceded, as Mika just pointed out. And the irony is that on January 20th, the incoming president-elect of the United States, Donald J. Trump, will at some point be asked to put his hand on a Bible. Hope it's not a Trump Bible made in China. Put his hand on a Bible and swear allegiance to the Constitution of the United States, something that he had no respect for in January of 2021. And it's going to be an odd picture watching that. But, you know, on the other aspect of Kamala Harris's concession speech yesterday, in looking at the box scores of what happened in America on Tuesday, you can't help but thinking that the Democrats are in the same position, we were speaking about this yesterday, as the Republicans were way back in 1964. Their party was crushed, destroyed by Lyndon Johnson, winning 49 states, I believe, in 1964. And that's where the Democrats are now. And the basis of the Democratic Party, the roots of the Democratic Party, established by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, union workers, iron workers, steel workers, machinists, they are now part of a party, and they're in that party, the Republican Party, because they're walking around, a lot of them, having viewed the culture of the past several years as an enemy. And they're walking around, prior to voting for Donald Trump in record numbers, asking themselves, who is stealing our country from us? The Democrats have to answer that question.
They really do. Willie, I want to read you. Mike had just talked about the 64 election. the Republicans completely wiped out. And again, just to let Americans know on both sides, and this was just as true as when Barack Obama won in 2008, and it looked like the Democrats were wiped out when Barry Goldwater won or got destroyed in '64, and Republicans thought they were wiped out. This is from Before the Storm, a great book by Rick Perlstein about the rise of the Reagan coalition, and talked about how bad '64 was. The matter stood, the American right had been rendered a political footnote, perhaps for good. The morning after, the wise men weighed in, Reston of the Times. He has wrecked his party for a long time to come, Reston wrote of Goldwater, and it is not even likely to control the wreckage. The New Yorker, this election has finished the Goldwater school of political reaction. By every test we have, declared James McGregor Burns, one of the nation's most esteemed scholars of the presidency, this is surely a liberal epic as the late 19th century was a conservative one. And they just go on, and he starts the book by talking about how the Republican Party is destroyed for a generation. And then, of course, he takes you to Ronald Reagan in a strip mall parking lot in Orange County, and something is happening on the ground. That happens for every party. There is always renewal, but as we said last hour, perhaps the Democratic Party should go to France for a couple of weeks, figure out what went wrong. Because when you're a political party and only 32% of Americans identify with you, that ain't the presidential candidate. That ain't the city councilman. That's a bigger structural problem with the Democratic Party and what it stands for with working class Americans of all colors.